seems to be incredibly easy for people who are up there at the top or echelon of the artificial intelligence world to talk about job loss like it's kind of a big deal, but they feel somewhat protected, I suppose. But the rest of us are a little concerned that this might not go the best way possible, at least for a little bit of time. Yes, we can all see in the future, hopefully we can see at least a little bit. At least we can maybe give some kind of an understanding to things being better, what better looks like. What does utopia look like? What does, when everything's basically at no cost, what does that look like? We might be able to kind of wrap our mind around all of that. Getting there is really the obstacle that a lot of us are going to be facing. Depends on what you do for a living, where your mind is. So the biggest sales point today is, well, you need to become a creator. Now that you're able to vibe code and speak code into existence and complete websites, funnels, solutions to people's problems, that's what you need to start doing. Well, it's difficult to do that when you're raising a family and you're out there struggling for 40 hours a week plus, and you're constantly overwhelmed with that particular assignment. That's where you are in life. So then maybe they say, well, don't worry about it. Retirement. Well, I don't know if retirement, how that's going to apply in the future as well, even for those people that have already gone through a full lifespan working and they have retirement. Does that actually stay some kind of income in the future? And what if we start living longer? How does that work? If we're going to be around a lot longer than we currently are, they call that escape velocity, by the way, in artificial intelligence. When you get to that point where now for every year you live, they have modern technology brought forth via artificial intelligence. Now you reverse a year. So now you're even once you get to that point, but then they're going to have some really big strides and changes. So it's going to be, you get 10 more years, you get 20, 50, 100 more years. And then at some point they will have conquered that whole problem, which will probably be very soon. Once they do that, then you're living as long as you want, practically. I think that's going to be also something else to think about, because then if you're retired now, do you start over somewhere? Do you start with a whole new family? I mean, how does all that work if you happen to be in that regard? The other thing that's interesting, and that I can't seem to find a straight answer to this. Maybe you can help. Maybe you've heard this answered before. Let's say they solve cancer. Not all cancer. Let's just say they tackle one cancer. Most cancers are incredibly expensive. There's a big part of the economy dependent on people having cancer. That sounds so crass to say that. I've been a victim of this as well with people that are very close to me. It's difficult to watch. It's difficult to watch people die as a result of cancer. It's just horrible. But if they were to solve one type, let's say breast cancer, for example, and how does that look? If they came up with a solution, is that something that's going to be held up for a lot of years before it's actually released, because the adjustments, the money, all that stuff has to be made from it before they put it into public purview? Is there going to be some government organization that's going to control that release or try to hide it from the public because they said it's not verified, even though maybe with AI and the technology, they'll be able to verify it very quickly, probably go from, inception to solution to distribution within 10 hours, 12 hours. Very possible. I believe with the way that they speed this up, what's going to happen in that regard? Is it really going to be released? Are people going to have access to it? We talked about the longevity thing just a second ago. Are people actually going to have access to having their lives increased? Or is that something that, maybe that's not good for the world? So the powers that be are going to maybe stifle that or not allow it. These are a lot of questions. I don't know whether it's going to be a positive or a negative. I don't know where the technology is going to get us. But when people say they can put the genie back in the bottle, they can't. They might be able to slow down technology, but then that big argument that comes in is always, well, what if the other countries get to it? The other countries that might not be United States friendly get the solution to artificial general intelligence before us. And then the other thing that gets thrown out a lot, maybe we're already there. Maybe the people that are operating inside, because we're not seeing the latest releases of anything. They have much more advanced models that haven't been fully vetted, apparently, for the public. Or it could be like the PlayStation days where you had, rumors of PlayStation 2 and 3 and 4. I don't know if you remember those times, but rumors that they've built them already. They just haven't released them because they haven't monetized the current PlayStation model, and they need to get all that done. I don't think AI is going to be exactly the same because it is unfolding a lot faster than anything we've ever seen. And of course, I wasn't around for all the previous agricultural revolutions. I wasn't around or born during the Industrial Revolution, but you can see that there's been changes in all of those regards, even today, within whoever's watching this particular lifetime. AI is so much different because the speed of at which it is moving is not equaled any time in our historic prowess where we've come from. It's just not there. It's because it's already set to have everything built out. It already has all the infrastructure. All it needs is maybe a few more steps of good changes and ideas, and things that they're working on now are the recursive self-improvement, where the system basically has a human in the loop reviewing the changes, but that's probably already sailed in some regard where humans aren't looking at it at all. It keeps often talked about in the show. I don't know if you remember the Jetsons. I watch a show with Peter Diamandis, Moonshots. And if you haven't watched that or tuned into it, just a fantastic show. But one of the cats on there, Alex, talks about the George Jetson scenario. And I don't know if you remember George Jetson, but every once in a while he had a very sore index finger because his whole job, it was so automated. All he was there to do was push a button and his finger got sore. Well, now I'm working with OpenClaw and some of these other things that I've had to teach myself to kind of learn and build out. And it seems like very much that I'm dealing with OpenClaw through Telegram on a local install on just a regular laptop that doesn't have any connection anywhere. And I talk and I hit the button. I just keep hitting it, going back and forth, asking it questions. There we are. How does that look for the rest of us? And I know there's abundance. I know there's this great other side to this. I just don't know what it looks like to get there, how much pain is going to be involved. And we don't like that as human beings. Just try to talk to somebody about losing some weight. I dropped 135 pounds. Okay. That's not easy to do. And a lot of people have done that even more. A lot of people have done very well at it. But it's being able to keep that off is really the secret. A lot of people can have the discipline 6 months, a year, tying their mouth shut, basically, sewing their jaw shut just to get through it. But then after that time, what happens when you unleash the jaw, when you open it back up and you start taking it in? Have you solved that addictiveness that maybe you had? That's why you got so fat. Have you solved that emotional thing that you might have had, the reason why you ate so much? Have you fixed all of that? Well, now we're moving into another world where we're moving into the artificial intelligence world. These are questions that, while we want to say that it's fantastic and great and it's going to solve a lot of problems, are those problems going to be released to the general public? Are the people going to have access to these problems? Or do you have to attain a certain level in the world before you're able to be the ones that get access to whatever these new advancements happen to be? We're all watching it unfold. We're all seeing this. I say that it seems like if you're not in this space or watching, maybe you're watching this video for the first time and you think, oh my God, this guy has just gone off the deep end. I'm not. I'm very hopeful. I'm very optimistic. I want it to be fantastic. I mean, if it could solve all of our fighting, then all of that, looking at the defense contracts, all of that stuff could be stopped. You take that, you put that money into longevity, you put it into how to make human beings, the most perfect life form there is in some kind of semblance of way. And then you fix that, you fix all the sickness, you fix all the cancers, all the disease, you give us longevity, you fixed us arguing and fighting with each other. You make the world just such a much better place. Nobody's hungry, nobody dies if they don't want to. Then we'll have to get some of those questions answered because some people aren't going to want to be here. But ultimately, that's where it goes. That would be just utterly fantastic, I think. And then there would be enough built into that where even if maybe we didn't work at a 9 to 5, 40-hour a week job, there was something we did that we love. Like this AI stuff, I love this. I love learning about it. I love learning about coding, even though I don't do it. But vibe coding, understanding that. I like learning about watching all the people on YouTube talking about artificial intelligence, these cats out there that are just super brainy. I love learning and getting into that whole space. And that's what I do. And maybe we'll find things like that for other people in the future as well. Maybe people just love football. Maybe that's going to become the thing. I mean, my God, you reverse the clock back to when you were your early 20s in college, and then you start playing ball again. I mean, or baseball. This isn't far-fetched. This is definitely something that has a possibility. Getting there that's going to be rough. And I hope that we are kind to each other and the people that are developing all this technology, whom I don't think any of us actually voted for. I hope they're gentle, and I hope it's released in the right way, and I hope it's aligned correctly as well. I hope it has the care, concern, love as a mother might to a good mother. There's a lot of the other ones too, but a good mother has towards their kids, their offspring. And to a point, that has to be balanced nicely as well. Maybe somebody does something that's bad for them. We don't want them to chop off an arm or do whatever. We want it to be caring and compassion. Anyway, I hope you're well. Thanks for watching. And let me know what you think, please, especially about solving one of the biggest diseases in the world, if in fact that's happened. Is it going to be that we get the access? Is it going to be that we're going to be offered the solution? And then if so much of the world's economy, especially the United States economy, is dependent on this thing existing and the attempted cure of it, what happens when it gets excised and it's no longer a problem? How does that look? Anyway, talk to you in the next one. Thanks for watching.